Do you find responsibilities in work, family, and health too overwhelming to handle? Welcome to Health, Wealth, and Relationships, Thriving in the Balancing Act. Join physical therapist and relationship consultant Dr. Gina Williams in building stronger connections, advancing your career, and elevating your overall well-being. Here you'll find practical tips, inspiring stories, and actionable strategies for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast, Health, Wealth, and Relationships, Thriving in the Balancing Act. I'm Dr. Gina Williams, owner of Mobility Health Physical Therapy, a physical therapy company based in Manhattan, New York. And we do home visits if you live in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens, or you can come to our clinic in Midtown Manhattan. Today's podcast guest is Michelle Mattice. Michelle Mattice has a long history in all types of business. She jokes that she sold everything from toilet paper to pixie dust. Having worked for various Fortune 100 companies over the years, she's learned quite a few lessons. She's been a sales manager, a trainer, consultant, a business organization coach for years, finally culminating in her newest venture, SparkUpBiz. She realized a few years ago that there was not a business networking site that was good enough for what she wanted for herself or her networking group, that she founded BossBabesNetworking.com. So she went out and developed it with a business partner. They took all the good, got rid of the bad, and they just launched it. In her mind, SparkUpBiz will be the one-stop shopping for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, and business networking for all to learn and grow. Her wish list isn't even done yet. Michelle also owns a payment processing company. It was a surprise to her too. Her payment company services the low and high risk markets. With everything she does, she goes about it with a heart and educates. Blame her mother, who was a teacher. Michelle educates, helps, and informs business owners and helps them grow with her servant heart.
We didn't really ever discuss the topics that we were going to be discussing. I'm like, okay.
I mean, I wanted to, but I'm like, it's Michelle. Like, stuff is going to come up and we're going to say stuff and it's going to be so good,
It's Dr. Gina and Michelle time because we're always like this.
I know. I'm like, should I send her questions? What should I do? But I'm like, no, I don't want to send her questions because then we're going to go on for 5 hours. And then I do have questions, but I don't want to prepare her because, oh my God, she's so interesting.
So interesting. I just lived a weird life. So So you can go into whatever questions if you want to do a formal introduction. It's your thing. I will tell you a funny story. I have a very small tribe. People are like, oh, you know everyone. I'm like, okay, I may know and connect with a lot of people. People joke that I'm like the 5 degrees of bacon in real life person. But I'll talk to anyone. My husband, who's an introvert, he's like, oh my God, you would talk to a freaking tree. I swear. Because he'll be out and about. He's like, who are you talking to now? My self-defense in that is I worked for Walt Disney World for a decade. So some of the trees answered back.
That's a good point.
That's a good point. So I have a very good friend. She and I have known each other since I was 8. She has the 2 most awesome teenagers. And I love sitting down with her sons. And her younger son, he's like, I want to be an Imagineer for Disney someday. I want to hear all your stories. And the last time we were together, he's like, how have all these things happened into your life? Because I've had a weird life. I will be the first to admit it. And he tends to be shy. I'm like, I'm going to tell you. I said, you need to get rid of your fear. He goes, what? I'm like, you're gonna fall on your face, flat on your face. You're gonna fail. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna look like an idiot. I said, you're gonna get into uncomfortable situations. You're gonna do things and stand there and go, what the hell am I doing here? How did I get here? I'm a fraud. I'm like, but you got to go with it. I said, because otherwise you're going to be stuck in a room and going, nothing ever happens to me. So I've done all those things. So
yeah, that's an exciting part of life and part of the ups and downs, the fun, the not so fun. And when you learn to just be free and just do, that's when you start living.
When you get rid of that fear, and then, some of my medical, you don't know all my medical. Some people, when they hear all my medical, they're like, and you do what now? People that know that part of me, they're like, why are you even half as active Do you wear them like, because I'm a firm, and you probably see this in your practice. I categorize pain patients and medical patients into a couple different categories. The ones that have like traumatic, horrible stuff happen to them and they sit there and they wallow and nothing is going to change. And woe is me. This sucks. Life's not fair. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to be miserable. They're the people that are cranky and sometimes lash out. And they don't even, there's that type of person also doesn't need a physical ailment. Some of them are just cranky butts that, because you just went, they're cranky butts. And if something happens to them, it's never their fault. Or if it is, it's beyond circumstances beyond their control, but they're going to take it out on everybody around them and they're going to just make their lives more miserable. And then there are ones who are like, okay, you know what, this is my lot and I'm just going to go with the status quo. And okay, I have a bad back. I'm not going to walk. I'm going to sit here and be lazy. And you know what? God bless you and good luck. And I'll be here, but I'm just doing my thing. And then there's the pig-headed and stubborn.
It might be you. Michelle is pig-headed and stubborn.
just who will go kicking and screaming into the night and will do things beyond their ability to the point of stupidity. You can talk to my husband about that one too, because he'd be like, yuck. I'm feisty and I have too much crap I want to do. Yeah, there's too much fun stuff. And occasionally I'll hurt a little bit extra. And occasionally I'll need a crash day. And occasionally I'll be like, all right, I'll have a pity me day. And then I get back up and I wipe my pants down and the dirt and get up and start fighting again. Because I'd rather be a fighter than I'm not a wallower. I wallow for like a brief minute and then I have to get up because I want to take those people and shake them and go, there's more to life. Get up. Get a grip.
There's so many studies that show having a positive attitude about whatever your situation is, regardless of how dire it may be, that shows that it can actually help you improve, help you heal, help you get better physically and mentally.
I learned 2 other lessons and I'm going to make you cry. I'm going to make you cry with one of those stories because I'm a storyteller. Somebody always has it worse than you. Always. Yeah. No matter how. I remember I was diagnosed with scoliosis when I was 7 years old, and I was brought to the Boston Children's Hospital for an orthopedic second opinion. And I remember sitting in that room and looking at my mom with these kids that had a ton more serious issues. And I remember going to my mom, I'm like, I don't think I'm sick enough to be here.
Ooh, wow. Okay. At 7.
Yeah, at 7. So there's always someone who's got it harder than you, worse than you. It doesn't have to be pain. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be PTSD. It could be hidden. You don't know what's behind the shell. That's one. And we're going deep today. You see, this is what happens when I start chatting. And then the second thing is I used to volunteer for something called Make-A-Wish Foundation. Actually, it was Give Kids the World. So the number one wish in the Make-A-Wish Foundation is go to Disney World. And if not all the kids, they go to Disney, they go to Universal, they go to SeaWorld, but not all the kids actually stay in the hotel. Some of the families are actually put in a village called the Kids Village. And it's in Kissimmee. It's a gated community. You drive past it, you're like, oh, those are the rich people. But it's actually this Give Kids the World. There's a chapel in there.
Oh, wow.
They've got like a little mini hospital in there for the kids that are sick. Organizations like Perkins and other restaurants sponsor things like, so you go into the cafeteria, everything's supplied for these families. And there's a it's bigger than life-size gingerbread house. And that's where they go get their meals. And everything's themed for the kids. So the tables have mints on them. Friendlies. I don't know if you know what Friendlies is, but it's a big chain in the Northeast with ice cream. So I'm like right there all the time.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Has an ice cream train caboose, or they did back in the day, so the kids could go. Yeah, imagine turning kids loose in an ice cream sundae bar and just saying, have at it. Yeah.
Imagine turning adults in an ice cream sundae barn.
That's actually how I met one of my best friends. If you've ever met Tori with BossBabes. Yeah. We have a funny ice cream story. And they have a castle. Oh my gosh, it's the funniest thing because it's Central Florida. So there's this like kid-sized knight in shining armor when you walk in. There's a carousel and everything. But if you leave the door open too long, it goes, psst, you're letting the magic out. The air conditioning bill. Yeah, it gets high. They've got the castle room has a grandfather clock. But I'm telling you this story because one of the things they do is they have a parents' night out because a lot of parents with terminally ill kids are always on and they're always waiting for that other shoe to drop. So while they're down there, the college interns at Disney will take one night a week and the parents go out on a date night and everything's supplied for
Oh.
them. But in the meantime, you're taking care of these kids, some of which you might know which one is sick. Sometimes you don't. You're just taking care of the kids and they're scared because they're
Mm.
being left in this strange place far away from home. Mom and dad are leaving them with these strangers. So my shtick and Tori's was always, when we meet the kids from our families, we go, you're the kids that are taking care of us tonight. Great. And they'd look at you, go, what? It's the kids' village. The kids make the rules, and they love that. It's like, okay, no fear. We're gonna go.
It's
We're
a
gonna have a
great
good night.
spin on things. Awesome.
Yes. So we would color with the kids or do arts and crafts while dinner was getting ready. And I'll never forget it. I'm not going to use their last name, but there was I'll never forget it. Jenny and her older brother, we were coloring and she latched on to me and she gave me her coloring for the night. I'm like, Jenny, you know what? She's 4. She was the cutest little thing. Sweetheart, you could not, I didn't know which one was sick, but she put her hands around me. I'm like, Jenny, you are doing so good at taking care of me tonight. I have to tell you. And her response was, I'll take care of you when I'm in heaven too. Mommy says I'm going to be an angel and it's not going to be much longer. I was
I'm
like,
getting chills. Oh.
and I'm like,
Aw.
oh, okay. She goes, Mommy says when I'm an angel, I can watch out after everyone I loved. I was like,
Wow.
okay. And I'm like, because you don't want to cry in front of the kids, but I was like,
Yeah, she had that effect
and
on you. Oh.
yeah. So when you have a kid telling you that, and I stayed in touch with that family for years. She passed away about 6 months later. Her brother and
Oh.
her parents, like I said, we exchanged cards for years and years and years. When you have a kid tell you that, you tend to put things in perspective. And that story is over 30 years old.
Wow.
And it's still, when you have things like that periodically pop up, you're like, yeah, I can handle this.
You put things in perspective. You
Yeah.
put on your big girl panties and you deal
Yeah.
with life in a positive
Yeah.
way.
Yep.
Mm.
So yeah, life's too short. You never know.
Well, Michelle, you've had such a diverse career, selling everything from toilet paper to pixie dust, you say. How
Yes.
has that
Yes.
range of experience shaped your approach on being a business owner and an entrepreneur?
Wow, it's a weird path I've led. I think I've had a ton of pivots, and that is the joke. I'm like, I have sold everything from pixie dust to toilet paper, which I've loved because it's given me a lot of variety and experiences. I've gotten to meet a lot of great people through that journey. I've gotten to see things from different perspectives. Like, I never thought that there would be a time where I would be in like top secret areas of Lockheed Martin or at the end of a production line for Frito-Lay potato chips in factory, or done emergency preparedness with hospitals. I mean, it's been a very weird journey, but I think that it's prepared me because all of those experiences has taught me something. And I've also learned that there are some common skills and common cores that every business needs and every business person needs in their suitcase, their gunny sack, in order to be successful and to rise to the next occasion, especially in today's day and age and the economy and the way things are just changing so quickly, from technology to how you take payments to how you interact with other businesses. COVID set the world on spin. And it was interesting to me because I've worked remotely and from home for years before COVID hit. And then COVID hit and everyone's like, how do you work from home? Like, I've gained 30 pounds and nothing gets done. And my kids are, always asking me questions and I can't get how do you do this? And so I think that all of those lessons that I learned along the way have prepared me for where I'm at today. And I also think that by pivoting so much, I keep my eyes open for opportunities to grow that I've never would have thought of in a million years. My mother was a teacher. She's always like, it's a bad day if you don't learn something. And when you stop learning, you start dying. And I'm like, okay. And she was right. That was true. And if you stop opening yourself up to opportunity or knowledge, whether it be listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video or learning something, then you start closing your mind off and you start to opportunities and to new things. Like if you had talked to me 6 years ago and said, "Oh yeah, you're going to run a women's networking group," I would be like, "Yeah, right. Uh-huh. Yep." Or if you had told me even 2 years ago, "By the way, you're going to meet some guy randomly from across the country and you're going to launch a new business networking platform," I would have fallen off my chair laughing at you. But you know
So,
what?
well, let's delve into that. So tell us about Boss Babes Networking, and that's actually how we met.
Yeah, that is how we met. Thank God. Because thank God, you see my shoulders working. Woo! So,
Michelle had online virtual PT after having a major shoulder surgery, and she's got full recovery. She just waved both of her arms in the air, pain-free, full range of motion. Her
yeah,
doctor is very pleased.
you're on his list now. I don't know if you're getting any phone calls from my area, but I'm like, you need to put her on the list. He's like, how'd you meet her? I'm like, networking. He goes, my doctors all know me because I have an army of doctors. I have every guest there is. And he just like, oh Lord. Well, I actually saw him 2 weeks ago. I'm like, she better be on your list. He goes, because you're going to hunt me down. I'm like, yes.
Great. Thank you for the referral, Michelle.
So,
Strong arm in her doctors.
you got to take care of the girls. So let's go back to before COVID because I live in the woods. So about 12 years ago, I had spinal fusion and spinal disc replacement. I will say this, know your body and fight for yourself. After a month, I realized that something was wrong. And I went into my surgeon. I'm like, there's something wrong. She's like, oh, well, we can't run the next test because of insurance and you need a prior auth. And I kept fighting. And about 3 months later, they found a spinal tumor in my spinal cord that was making me paralyzed. So I had a 50-50 chance I'd ever walk again. So I can't get up and walk away because then we'd lose. That would be bad. But long and short of it, I was a traveling sales rep at the time. And I came off the road and worked an alternative home-based business because I was hurting myself. I mean, the worst thing you can do for someone that was in my condition is drive all day. And I would drive like 10 to 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So like, all right. So I live in the woods. In order for me to network, to grow my business, I had to get online. And this is way before COVID. Things like Meetup hadn't even existed. People weren't doing that. So I started researching groups. So I was doing a ton of, interaction with groups on Facebook, business groups and industry groups of various different things, doing the same thing in LinkedIn. And right as COVID hit, I was getting really annoyed because all of these great networking groups that had formed all of a sudden were locking down what you could post. So you were unallowed to post what you did unless you were giving a kickback to the group owners. So you weren't allowed to advertise what you did. Comments that you would make would be removed. If you shared something from your company page, it would get removed. I'm like, okay, well, that's part of networking and you're running a
sharing
network
business. Yeah.
Yeah. So it happened on Facebook and LinkedIn. I got really frustrated. And so I was also on this platform, Alignable. And so they didn't have any groups back then. And then in March of 2022, they sent out a call. They're like, if you'd like to start a group, we're starting groups. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start a group the way I would want a group started. And I'm going to make it a women's only group, nothing against men. Okay. But I wanted a women's only group. And I wanted it a positive place where we could share at least one day a week of what we did. Because no one needs an infomercial. Feed, and that they could share ideas and learn from each other and help uplift and have virtual networking meetings. And I had no idea what I was doing back then. So, I didn't. Still don't most days, but we wing it well. And I started the group. I went to Arizona and I promptly got sick. I came back home and I was sick as a dog through most of 2022. So my little group of about 30 by the end of the year had grown to 70 people.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it was the first week in November. It was actually, oh my goodness, maybe it was 2 years ago. Actually, it was 2 years ago this week. I ended up in the ER for emergency surgery. And I was in the hospital for an entire week in the middle of COVID. So I was on lockdown, and my poor husband, he brought me my laptop. I'm like, I cannot leave my room.
Classic Michelle.
I am gonna go. Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna go stir crazy. You need to bring me my laptop. I don't care if he's like, okay. I'm like, no, it's for the. And then my nurse she's like, please bring her something to do because she's like, yeah,
Driving everybody crazy here.
yeah. And I was like, because I'm driving them crazy. So I did my first networking event from my hospital
From the
bed
hospital. Michelle.
with a sweatshirt on, an IV in, and the back grayed out, and no one knew at all. I had washed my hair in the sink that morning because I didn't have a shower. And I'm like, okay, yep. And I was like, oh my God. He goes, so my husband, he's like, what were you doing when I came in? I'm like, oh, I was networking. He goes, you were talking to people like this? Yeah. So that was November, and it was the first week of November. I went in on Halloween. Yeah, my poor surgeon. And by January 1st, we'd grown the group over to about 900 women. And then we started doing a networking event every week. And then we started doing two networking events every week. And we were getting about 100 new members a week. Alignable and I parted ways.
Okay. Very politically correct.
Yeah, that's a whole other box of wine story. About a month ago, we were over 8,000 women on that platform. We were getting about 100 new women a week join us. We were the most active female group on the platform. About a year ago, though, me and my multiple personalities, we started BossBabesNetworking.com. We also spread our wings to LinkedIn and Facebook. So those groups are now starting to grow, but we're still having the events. We may get some of those women back, but I am not allowed on the Alignable platform anymore. And I'm okay with that because of some of the things that they've done. And one of the things I learned through BossBabes is I've always been a business coaching consultant. I've always done that on the side. People have always found me. I have corporate training in my background. So started as a trainer back at Disney, was a trainer for various other Fortune 100 companies. And something I've learned about myself through this journey is I love to help others succeed. And it was really starting to tick me off with BossBabes because everyone on that platform and everyone in BossBabes, whether it be selling another company or selling their own company and representing their own company, they all have this dream to build a business, to build steady income for themselves. And a lot of them, and God love them, don't have the wherewithal or they don't have the knowledge. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what a CRM is. They don't know how to register their business. They don't know that they have to have a business bank account. They don't know what an EIN is. So they don't know the basics to even starting a business a lot of times. And then once they have this business, they may have registered it all and they may have all of that. And then they're like, okay, now what? Like I have an idea, but now how do I do it? So one of the things I learned is I want to help those people grow. So BossBabes became this conversation of, in my dream world, I wish we could, and I wanted to, I was frustrated. So I had met someone through a consulting job over a year and a half ago working. He was an independent contractor working for this company. So was I. And my time with them stopped, but he and I kept in touch. His name's Matt. And I was really frustrated after a change about over a year and a half ago with Alignable. I was really frustrated that one of my favorite groups on Facebook that I used to get business out of kicked me out because I was advertising. I'm like, oh, come to my website. I'll help you. And people were like, no, you can't private message
people. You can't help people,
on
Michelle. Not allowed.
Yeah, you can't talk to people outside this group. I'm like, yeah. And then LinkedIn I don't know if you've been on LinkedIn. I hate LinkedIn. It's all pitch slapping and spam and it's AI fed everything. So I got really frustrated and he kept in touch with me. He's like, why are you upset? I'm like, because I want better. He's like, okay. He goes, well, what would you want? And I gave him a list of everything I would want in the perfect online networking platform and everything I wouldn't. And he's like, I can build it.
Wow.
And I said, what? He goes, I can build it. So we just soft launched in September. And so
congratulations.
Thank you. So we just soft launched it in September. It's called SparkUpBiz.com, biz with a Z. And we're small, but you know what? That's never stopped me before. Because the pig-headed and stubborn. But it's a platform that makes sense for today's online and in-person networking, honestly. Because I took everything I liked and got rid of everything I didn't. Poor Matt. He's like, oh God, what are you adding to the list this week?
And Michelle
Because
has an extensive checklist of what, any starting or continuing or entrepreneur would need to know. And it's basically one-stop shopping for entrepreneurs, small business owners to be a resource and network and find business.
that's the dream. So one of the things that we wanted was unlimited connecting, because we shouldn't have limitations to who we can connect with, in my opinion. So unlimited connecting, even our free members have unlimited connecting. There are profiles on the free level. They can put their website up. They can put their social media links up. They can put their booking calendar up, because the whole purpose of networking is bringing them to your website, drumming up that business, drumming up those meetings. For $20 a month, you get all of that. You get access to the events calendar. There's a daily networking event Monday through Saturday. As the platform grows, we'll be adding more and more. We envision a time, like I said, it's a dream, but we'll have networking 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every hour on the hour as the platform grows. There's also webinars being taught and led by different group leaders and platform leaders. So there's a guy that's doing marketing stuff and he's giving marketing tips. I'm like, we have a business coach that's already doing webinars. I'm like, yay. And then we have the academy, which teaches a lot of those basics. So some of it's put up by us, some of it like how to register your business, or how to do a SWOT analysis, or how to make a goal plan, because be amazed at how many people don't have their plans actually written down. So it has a lot of those basic skills, and that academy will still be continued to be added to, not only by us, but by other contributors at higher levels. So that Spark gets the academy, the events, and they get access to the groups, and they get on-site video chat. So we could actually be doing this, except for the recording part, on SparkUp. So we could talk one-on-one, one and multiple people, and the groups all have live chat rooms. I know I'm dating myself, but AOL, I used to have chat rooms.
I remember AOL.
It's still around. But when it first started, it had chat rooms that you could go talk to people like based on topic or industry, and you got to meet some real. I
Based
actually
on
have
your interests. Yeah.
Yes, I have friends that I made that there's like, I won't tell you how many more years later, but yeah. So you have that there as well. And then and blogs, and we've got everything going on over there. And if you're the highest level, you have access to everything, and you can add content to the academy to be a teaser. So like these are, you can share your expertise and then have a lead generator so you can actually grow business, because some people might actually want to know what Dr. Gina is all about before they work with her. Though I just work with Dr. Gina, because she's awesome. So I do
Thank you,
I do like
Michelle.
the baby pictures.
Thank you. But just because you're just not busy enough, tell us about your other business, about the payment processing company you have.
Yeah, so I was working with a payment processing company and the owners for several years. They own two different payment processing companies. One was for traditional businesses, low risk. And then when the 2018 Farm Bill went through and hemp became legal, and the word CBD became an everyday word, they decided to open up a different payment processor that would specialize in high risk, and that's called Joint Venture Pay. So I had actually run the company for them for several years. And in February, they're like, we want to pursue different interests of ours. Would you like to purchase the company? I'm like, what now? And I have to say, I almost turned it down, which was really silly. But then, and the reason being is I was concentrating so hard on SparkUp, but it was like, was not expecting this opportunity, but have to keep open to it. So I'm like, you know what? Joint Venture Pay will work with SparkUpBiz. So I can work the two together. So I also own Joint Venture Pay. Joint Venture Pay doesn't just do high risk, though. The way our agreements where I can do pretty much any type of industry, whether it be your corner coffee shop all the way up to a cannabis dispensary. So we can do payment processing. We do short-term financing, we do consumer financing, we do all sorts of things in the financial sector and we have a ton of partnerships in that high risk industry because we've been doing it for so long. So if these cannabis businesses are looking for a safe bank, we have banks that we work with and lawyers that we work with and marketing companies that know the specifics of those high risk industries. And we can always
Mm.
refer, we connect people and refer. Doesn't sound like networking at all. So we just do it through the payment processing side. So that has been keeping me busy as well as SparkUp. And it's funny how the two ended up working together because most people sign up for payment processing and they have no idea what they're signing up for. So coincidentally enough, in the academy on SparkUpBiz, there's a course you can click on that will teach you everything you would ever want to know about payment processing and what you're signing up for. Go
That's it,
figure.
everyone. Just go on sparkupbiz.com and sign up. It's a wealth of knowledge for every single thing you need to know.
Please. So that's really the hope. And we're launching new things. We have something new coming up. We're having a marketplace launch. So you can go in and search the type of business and it'll pop up. And we're also, do you like to shop?
Yes, I do.
Do you like to Christmas shop?
Lovely. Love the Christmas shop.
So one of our groups on there is having fun with J&J. I had to think of the name. It's Jeanette Jordan and Jenny Dial. They started a YouTube channel in January called Having Fun with J&J, and they work with crafters to help them turn it into a business.
Oh, wow.
And they work with, they have a couple of veterans they've worked with, and they help these people build their craft, their art into a business. So this YouTube channel, they got approached by Roku. And they launched a Roku channel called the Creative Spirit Channel. And they have all these crafters. They have cartoons for kids and stuff on it. It's a Roku channel. You can go look it up there. It's also on YouTube. But we are partnering on November 9th for a holiday shopping extravaganza.
Amazing.
So their artisans and crafters are going to be featured in between segments of other people within SparkUpBiz and the BossBabes network and their network. So we're going to have like a crafter and we might have a Mary Kay, and then we're going to have another artisan, and then we'll have like a Pampered Chef, and then we'll have another artisan, and then we'll have Shackley. So you're going to get all of your direct marketing in one fell swoop on the 9th, and you're going to get all these really awesome artisans and crafters. There's a retired veteran. He does absolutely beautiful woodwork. He makes these pens that are one of a kind by hand. Jeanette Jordan, she makes these awesome acrylic clocks. They're custom. She can light them up. We had a woman in our Boss Babes group who loved, Marvin the Martian. She made a custom Marvin the Martian clock for her. It was hysterical. So if you're looking for that like one of a kind
Custom presents and pieces for your friends and family.
US made, handmade, all these artisans and crafters will be there. So it's going to be broadcast. We're going to stream it on SparkUpBiz. We're going to stream it on their YouTube channel. And we're going to try to stream it on our YouTube channel, which we're just launching, as well as on the Roku channel. And it will be rebroadcast on the Roku channel up to, at various times, up to Christmas and Hanukkah week, because those are actually the same day this year, which is like virtually unheard of. Wow. And the commercials, because you got to have commercials, are actually going to be 501c3 charities that you can support. Like we have wine for who doesn't love wine? Yes. Hello. We have one charity called Reboot VA who has a Wine for Warriors program. So you can purchase wine and the proceeds go to helping PTSD veterans, female veterans who have gone through PTSD and trauma. And it gives them counseling, and it also helps them build a business, because a lot of times these veterans can't go into a traditional office job or a traditional job because they may need to go take a break, or they may need whatever their needs are. They may be triggered by being around too many people. So this actually helps them build a business that they can grow in. So we're very excited about that. So that's November 9th, because, I need more things to do.
Yes. And well, that leads me to my last question. You're so busy with all your business ventures and your different type of businesses. How do you find time for your family and then yourself?
So I time block really, really well. My husband will also tell you that when I'll look at him and I'm like, I'm done. And he's like, okay. So that's the code words between him and I. And he found out the hard way, the poor man, because I went to him one time, I'm done. It was actually after a surgery. And it was actually after this shoulder surgery. He knew there had been times previously where I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can't talk business anymore.
Well, let's let everyone know that Michelle went back to work 2 days after she had her surgery full time because she didn't realize that people don't work after having a major surgery like that. They take off a month or 2 months.
I don't know. So yeah, so this is my doctor and I actually had a really funny discussion about this. So I had a total shoulder replacement. You know this. And so I'd asked him, I'm like, all right. And he knew it was all over my file. I'm self-employed. I work from home. We'd had this discussion. And I'm like, when can I go back to work? And he's like, or excuse me, when can I start typing again? That was the question I asked him. So he said, well, you should be able to type the next day. You need to make sure your arm's in the sling, or if it's resting, that it's on a cushion of some sort. You shouldn't overdo it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So to me, that was me saying I can go back to work the next day because my office is next. It's in my home. So, but I'm like, all right. So the surgery was on a Wednesday and they sent me home. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the Thursday and Friday off because I'm probably going to be on good meds, but I'll go right back to work on Monday. And I think you were on that Monday. Were you on medical leave still? I'm sure because you had a little one. So I was back to running networking. I was back at my desk on the following Monday. I was not taking any heavy pain meds at that point. I was in a lot of pain, but I've been a chronic pain patient for 10 years, over 10 years. So you just suck it up and you're just like, okay, next. So
not normal, Michelle.
Yeah, I didn't find that out until I went for the 2-week checkup. When my PA was like, what do you mean you're back to work? I'm like, yeah, because I had walked in. I'm like, yeah, this sucked because my husband had to drive me. I wasn't allowed to drive yet. I'm like, I have appointments I need to get back to. He's like, you have what?
Like, how long is this appointment going to take? I need to go back to work.
I'm like, you're running late. I have a networking event. I have to start in like an hour and a half. And he's like, wait, what? I'm like, I got to get back to work. He goes, you're not supposed to be working. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, are you working? I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah. He's like, part-time, right? I'm like, no. He goes, you're back to work full-time. It's like, I was back to work 3 days later. He goes, are you insane?
Yes, she's a little insane.
I will say, I went, because you know me by now. I was pig-headed. And I'm like, all right. So, one of the things we have made so much progress with as a society, we can verbally talk and type. So I got all of the, apps downloaded on my computer. So I was making video messages because I'm a big proponent of video messages. So I'm making video messages. I was high as a freaking kite on Friday, but I'm like, I'll just send a couple. Thank God I watched them before I sent them because they would have been, I would have been getting calls. Michelle, are you okay? What's wrong? Are you okay? Okay.
You look high as a kite in the videos.
Oh my God, they were bad. So at least I waited until Monday when I was off everything, but I checked them like on Monday. I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't send. Thank God. People think I'm enough. Yeah. So, but anyhow, that's me.
So are there any special tips? I know you say you blocked the time off for your self-care. Did you on a calendar? Oh, you shut the phones off.
Yeah, so I time block when I'm going to work, when I'm not going to work. I make sure I have a lunch hour. A lot of people, especially when they work from home, they just tend to work. And then it's like 6:00 at night and they're like, holy crap, I'm hungry or I'm really, really exhausted. And they didn't take any breaks. They didn't, we actually joked a couple weeks back that like sometimes when you work from home, you're just excited when you have 10 minutes to use the restroom.
That can be true sometimes.
So I give myself a cushion. I always take a lunch hour. And after a certain time period at night, I'm done. You're not allowed to talk business to me. I'm done. It's when I say I'm done, I'm done. Saturdays, are my chore day. Sundays, no one talks to me. And there are times where there's this thing on a phone. It's called, there's two things. One, an off button. Which I've been turning them off on Sundays pretty much. And then there's this also great feature on most smartphones called a do not disturb.
Yes.
and you can program it to the important numbers can get through for emergencies. But other than that, if your do not disturb is on, ain't no one getting through. So between that, and my husband also knows I'm a big reader. Might have something to do with the fact that my mother was an English teacher. But if I'm reading a book, he just leaves me alone. You could have World War III going on around me, and if I was reading a book, it would not register. Nope. So between that and my campfire, I have a campfire out and back.
Nice.
That's my happy time, watching a starry night and a campfire. And also, I have to do my exercises in my treadmill because you'd yell at me, and so would my cardiologist. But I think taking care of yourself is listening to yourself. It's listening to, why am I not feeling well? Do you know why you have the headache? Do you know why you're tired? Do you know why you're hungry? Do you know why you're feeling like crap? Why are you feeling overwhelmed? Do you need to take a break? Do you need to do something to put you in your happy place? Do you need therapy? And when I mean by therapy, is sometimes seeing a therapist is great. Sometimes it's having a tribe. Like, I have a great group of girlfriends that, first of all, if I joke that, I will never get big head syndrome. Those people that think they're all that. I will never get big head syndrome because they will tear me down in 2 seconds if they ever saw me that. And I appreciate that. But they're also the ones like I can call. I have a handful of girlfriends. I'm like, we need a girls' night, or I just need to. I have girlfriends that'll do the same thing to me. They'll say vent, and then they'll yell for 15 minutes, not at me. Not because they're mad at me, they just need to vent. And sometimes you do that. So we call it therapy. But I really think it's just thinking of realizing what you need and figuring out those balances. And every person's different. Some people get up at 5 a.m., God help them, and, meditate for half an hour. Some people do it before they go to bed. Some people love to run marathons. God help those people, because I've never been one of those. But we each have that thing in us, or those things that bring us back to center. And I think it's important to have those, identify what those are. And then more importantly, when you're in the hustle and bustle and feeling frantic and worried and anxious and overwhelmed and all of that, it's to take a step back and go, okay, what do I need to do to recenter? And as many people will look at me, they're like, you are insanely busy. And I'll be like, yep. First of all, I'm never one to sit down for very long. Rolling Stones grow no moss. That I don't no moss on me. And I've always been that way, but I also learned that I will go, and then I'll hit a wall and be like, okay, you need to reset.
I need to rest. Yeah. That's a good way to know yourself, know what your needs are.
Practice. Yeah. It's called hitting those walls at times and going, oh yeah, I probably should have been taking care of myself. But like, if you met Carissa, she's one of my tribe, my girlfriend Tori, my girlfriend Teresa, my girlfriend Marcia. Teresa and I've known each other since I was 4. So she and I get together, and she'll be like, okay, you have been pounding way too hard. You need a break. Or Carissa will call me, and she's like, did you eat lunch today? I'm like, no. She'd be like, you missed lunch, didn't you? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, go eat lunch. Yeah. Go eat lunch. So, but I'll do the same thing to her too. Cause like at 3 o'clock, by the time we roll it to, I'm like, you didn't eat lunch because you hangry. You're not your usually smiling face. You're hangry. So I think it's having that tribe that can call you on it too.
Yeah. Having a good circle of friends that can support you and know who you are essentially, and can tell when you're not yourself.
Yeah. Like my husband, he's afraid to at times. My poor husband, I love him dearly. He's a saint for putting up with me, but he my girlfriends have no problems, no qualms calling me on my crap, and me vice versa. I think you can get through anything in life with faith, whatever your faith be, a good set of girlfriends, and a sense of humor. Because no matter how dark it gets, if you have those 3 things, you're good.
Yes. Great advice. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being on the podcast. And for those of you who want to listen to more and find out where this podcast is going to be, it's going to be at mobilityhealthpt.com.
I hope to see you around BossBabes soon, and SparkUp.
That's all for this episode. May this discussion full of actionable tips and valuable advice guide you towards better possibilities in your personal and professional life. Continue your journey of unlocking your fullest potential by listening to more episodes of the podcast at mobilityhealthpt.com. Achieving stronger relationships, securing a thriving career, and embracing a healthier lifestyle may be daunting at first, but it is not impossible. You have the power to unleash the best version of you today. Until next time.